Why do so many people that preach equality of opportunity seem to hate the idea of inheritance tax? Because all of us want a better future for our children than we had. People generally aren't actually as pro-equality of opportunity as they think. Usually familial benefit is seen as an exception, because people don't see it as unfair, although it does end up being a help. I earn money. It is taxed. I invest it. The capital gains are taxed. When I spend it, it's taxed again. How many times does my money need to be taxed before that's enough? It comes down to a difference in how people see their assets and relate to it. One of the views you can see is person A gets paid a loaf of bread for some work and the government cuts off a slice as income tax. Now person A has half a loaf and dies for whatever reason said in their will to give the half a loaf to person B. And then the government just comes along and takes another slice of the same loaf because it's income for person B. Some people see it as the government having no business taking another slice, but the government does so because they treat each person in isolation with regards to tax. I'm gonna assume you're talking about the US 'cause we've got no inheritance tax here. It's because it's pretty easy for most people to see that taxes aren't being used to give opportunities to everyone. There are very few good social programs in the United States. Our public schools and colleges are underfunded and subpar. Libraries are constantly closing. We tend to send homeless people to prison instead of shelters. We don't have public health care. This applies to all kinds of tax, not just inheritance. Most Americans don't like paying taxes very much because we know that we probably won't benefit from that money very much. In countries with better social systems in place, most people are more comfortable with more and higher taxes because they know that they're gonna get most of that back anyways, whether that be in the form of free healthcare, education, public transport. Essentially, people know the government won't provide for their kids once they're gone. And while equality of opportunity is a great philosophy, most parents are going to try to give as much as possible to their kids. Inheritance tax is something that disproportionately disadvantages people making under a certain amount. If you have $1 billion and pay 40% in taxes, you still have $600 million. It's plenty to live off of. If you have $50,000, you end up with $30,000. Who of those two people has a better chance at getting ahead? Now, bump it down to someone who has $10,000 and ends up with $6,000. How many bills will that pay? Will they have any chance to get ahead with that? To materially change people's circumstances for the better, people need money. It's that simple. An inheritance tax applied to everyone decreases people's opportunity the lower their inheritance. So, there need to be provisions that scale the tax in an equitable way. And, of course, much like every tax, the wealthy will leverage loopholes to pass wealth on while not paying taxes on it. And so the tax will be less effective than expected and disproportionately paid by those whom are disadvantaged most by the tax in the first place. They hate it because it seems like a money grab. They hate it because they believe it won't make a difference in providing equality of opportunity, and will be spent wastefully the way so much of our government spending is. They hate it because that money has already been taxed once and now it will be taxed again. I'm fine with taxing capital gains when they are realized. I'm fine with paying taxes on the IRA I inherited from my mom because it hadn't yet been taxed. But I did not support double taxation. I can see the argument for an inheritance tax. James Buchanan, the Nobel-winning economist, not the president, argued for it very powerfully. At the same time, as a parent, I would like to leave something behind for my kids. Right now, I fully plan on paying for their college. What if I die while they're still in school? My wife's family has a small cottage on a lake that's been in their family for 3 generations now. Can we leave that to our kids upon our deaths? It has tremendous sentimental value to us, and I hope someday, them too. There's also the idea that old money, wealth doesn't really tend to last all that long. Most exceedingly wealthy families find themselves at the normal level of wealth, or even below it, after 23 generations. So is inheritance really doing much to promote inequality? I'm not so sure. Finally, there's the practical concern. Let's say you impose a 100% tax on inheritance. Why would that accomplish anything? Parents could just sign over everything in the last few years of life as a gift and then ask their kids for spending, living money as a gift in return. I guess I just don't see it accomplishing much other than changing when parents give kids the money. Why not just leave it alone? Because they really aren't pro-equality of opportunity. They have most likely benefited from unequal opportunities in their life in the past, or they hope their family will benefit from it in the future. By saying they believe in equality of opportunity, they are negating or handwaving those advantages their family had a way. As human beings, and maybe even more so as an American, we want to believe that it is solely our own hard work that got us where we are. So in reality, they're pro-me-centric narrative. That being said, it's not really realistic that we would have equality of opportunity. People always do more for and give a greater benefit of the doubt to themselves and those that are close to them. The heir to an inheritance hasn't earned it, but neither has the state or the causes that the state will distribute to. You make it sound like wealth and opportunity are the same thing. In reality, they are very different. You can't inherit skills and expertise. And you can't inherit a career without working for it. You might be able to inherit a business, but you won't necessarily have the skills to run it or compete with others without training, work. Because I have zero faith in our government spending money efficiently and effectively. Giving the government more money does not necessarily mean equality of opportunity for its citizens. Inheritance tax shouldn't be a thing. That's nothing to do with inequality. It's just a government profiting off the families of the deceased. Talk is cheap. Who are the people that care about that? The only thing that an inheritance tax does is make poor people poorer. Say you're working class and your parents actually paid off your childhood home. You're doing okay financially but not extremely well off. Your parents pass and leave you that house and a small amount of cash. Or worse yet, you have 2 siblings and the house is split evenly. None of you can outright buy the house and pay the tax. So what happens? The house gets sold, the government takes the taxes owed, and you have no house. Now say you're from a wealthy family and you get a large inheritance. Most property will be protected through trusts or some other entity. The cash you can borrow against to pay taxes and leave it invested, likely earning more than what you are paying back on that loan. Which family would be able to continue building wealth, and which family just lost their opportunity to get a leg up? I don't find that they do. They generally seem to be in favor of more taxes on the rich, especially estate taxes. Not sure who you are talking to if you are getting people on the left hate taxes on large inheritances. Because it's always for someone else, not them. I'm big time into equality of opportunity and have even volunteered my time at a single parent housing shelter to teach life skills, financial literacy, and career planning. People want a better life for their children, especially if they struggled early in life. That money has likely been taxed, and if it's used to buy anything, more tax will be paid. And yes, I get 401k pre-tax. etc. If inheritance tax was everything over maybe $10 million, and on a sliding scale as it got bigger, then I'd feel better about it. Yeah, it's something like $13 million. But I also don't think it should be taxed as income, either if it already was exposed to being taxed. Also, no tax on at least one home that's transferred ownership, as if, when it gets sold, there will be tax on that sale anyways.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.